Over the past few weeks, we've taken an extensive look at some of the best, most popular machines that you can cross paths with in Horizon Zero Dawn. But as anyone who's played the game would tell you, even though we've covered most of the big boys, there are plenty more machines left that might not be as dangerous or physically imposing, but still have plenty of interesting things going on. We are, of course, more than a little excited to see what new machines Horizon Forbidden West will throw our way. And in anticipation of that, here we're going to talk about a few more machines from the first game, namely the ShellWalker, the Sawtooth, and the Bellowback. ShellWalker. Originally designed by Gaia as carrier machines to aid with the Earth's terraforming, after the derangement, which saw machines turning hostile towards humans following the destruction of Gaia, ShellWalkers acquired greater firepower, became more difficult to take down, and turned much more aggressive towards humans. The most obvious defining trait of a ShellWalker is, of course, its massive crab-like structure, as well as the huge cargo container it carries on its back. ShellWalkers might not look as physically intimidating as something like the Stormbird, it might not have as much overwhelming firepower as the Deathbringer, and it might not be as ridiculously huge as something like a Thunderjaw or a Rockbreaker, but they can still hold their own in combat, to say the least. One of the biggest advantages it has in fights is the shield generator that it can use to produce a large energy shield in front of it, that it uses to protect itself and its cargo, which makes destroying those shield generators a priority anytime you find yourself in a fight with one of these things. From a distance, ShellWalkers can be quite tricky to deal with. They have quite a fondness of using electricity-based elemental attacks, and can fire these off from range, from shock blast and burst fire to homing electricity attacks, to a radial electric blast that zaps everything standing in close proximity to the machines. And even though that's where they excel the most in combat situations, ShellWalkers can also use their claws to swipe at foes and deal melee damage. Taking ShellWalkers on in combat is not just fun, it can also be really rewarding. What with the fact that once you've dealt with them, you can plunder their cargo containers and scrounge up some decent loot. Though, of course, if you don't successfully make a ShellWalker drop its cargo container before you kill it, the cargo gets destroyed as well. Thus far, Guerrilla hasn't said one way or the other whether Horizon Forbidden West will still have ShellWalkers as well, so it remains to be seen whether we'll be crossing paths with them once again anytime soon. Sawtooth. Sawtooths aren't that much of a threat once you've played Horizon Zero Dawn even for a few hours. Where the game's hostile machines are concerned, a Sawtooth is perhaps one of the least threatening, because nor is it terribly large, nor is it equipped with any weapons or firepower, and it doesn't deal out heavy amounts of damage. Even so, this is a machine that most who have played the game not only remember very well, but think back on fondly. That, of course, is because the Sawtooth is one of the first dangerous machines you encounter in Horizon Zero Dawn, and it continues to be a persistent threat throughout the entirety of the experience. Their main attacks are all melee-focused, and these saber-tooth cat-like machines utilize their so-called fangs, which are actually serrated spikes, and their claws to rip and tear at enemies, which means Aloy for the most part. They're often encountered in groups, while more often than not, they're paired with stealth-busting watchers as well, and that combination can be particularly tricky to deal with. Even from a lore perspective, Sawtooths are quite fascinating. While a large number of the machines in Horizon Zero Dawn were machines built by the AI Gaia for Earth's terraforming and restoration, the Sawtooth was a direct result of the derangement. Seeing humans who regularly hunted machines for their parts and components as hostiles, the rogue Hephaestus decided to begin equipping its machines to fight back against humans. The Sawtooth was an entirely new kind of machine made for this very purpose, specifically to guard Gaia's terraforming machines from any potential attacks by standing watch around their herds. Like ShellWalkers, we don't know yet if Sawtooths are going to come back in Horizon Forbidden West as well. Bellowback. Visually, the Bellowbacks are among the most unique-looking machines in Horizon Zero Dawn, while they're also unique in that they come in two variants, the Freeze Bellowback and the Fire Bellowback. All Bellowbacks bear more than a passing resemblance to a Baryonyx, which is another way of saying that they look quite fierce and deadly. Using its huge body, its ability to jump across long distances, and its large tail, a Bellowback can deal plenty of damage with its melee attacks. As you may have guessed, Bellowbacks can also unleash plenty of elemental attacks. That's what they specialize in fact. Though what kind of attacks they use depends on whether they're Freeze Bellowbacks or Fire Bellowbacks, which use ice and fire elemental attacks respectively, as their names imply. Using their fire and ice attacks, Bellowbacks, no matter what kind you're facing, are a considerable threat from a distance, and the fact that some of their attacks also tend to impede your movements make them even trickier to fight. It is worth mentioning that all Bellowbacks have some pretty significant weaknesses, especially with the gullet that they all carry on their underside of their bodies being huge, instantly obvious targets that tend to be pretty easy to hit. Destroying these causes plenty of explosive and elemental damage, while also ensuring that the machine won't be able to use ice or fire attacks. Meanwhile, they also have large cargo sacks on their backs, destroying which renders them unable to use long-range elemental attacks. While there's been no word from either Guerrilla or Sony about whether ShellWalkers or Sawtooths will be coming back in Horizon Forbidden West, the developers have confirmed that the sequel will indeed see the return of Bellowbacks, which is yet another thing to look forward to for those who can't wait to dive into the open-world action RPG. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on GamingBolt.